Hello, everybody. I have the pleasure today of introducing to you or reminding you of somebody who's one of my most favorite people in the world. She's a very dear friend of mine, and she's also an author of, oh my goodness, the number of books you can't imagine. I mean, when I met her, she'd just done a Goddess Queen book, but then she did a dreamer's book for the 21st century. I had this dream, the strangest dream. It was a dictionary. It was awesome. And so I have loved following her through these years as a friend, up volcanoes, you name it. I followed her everywhere. But she just came out with a new deck of cards. And it's not her first. She did the Hero's Journey, which, oh gosh, if you've ever gone through that, which I know you have, those cards really bring it to life and kind of give you clarity throughout it. And she has done two chicken soup books. There's Dreams and Premonitions, and there's what is the other one?
Dreams and the Unexplainable.
Oh, and the Unexplainable. See, it's so hard for me to explain it that I just couldn't get there. But she's written two of those Chicken Soup for the Soul books. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. So let's introduce, here she is, Kelly Sullivan Walden. Hi, Kel.
Hi, Nancy T. Thank you so much for taking a moment to connect with me about this crazy new thing I birthed.
I
Thank
know.
you.
I'm so excited that you did this because you've done two other oracle decks, and there's the regular, it's a dream oracle deck, right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
did the hero's journeys, and then
Hero's Journey Dream. So
dream.
far, everything's
Yes,
got dream in it.
yes. And this combines a little bit of the flashback of that whole goddess queen thing you did, and it's a
Yeah.
dream goddess cards. I want to show everyone. This is the beautiful little box. And you know what I like about these? You know what I like about these is that they're bite-sized morsels. You know, and it's not
Like
just
chocolate truffles.
they're like chocolate truffles, and they're just like you pick it out. There's a goddess. It tells you about the goddess, and there may be a quote. It's pretty awesome. And so, tell me, what made you decide to do this deck of cards?
Oh, thank you, Nancy T. I've had Goddess on the brain for a
Mm.
long time. That was, like you knew me way back when, basically when my first book came out. Um, and everything I was doing back at that time was all Goddess all the time. And then somehow I segued, that's like a longer story of how I segued into dreams becoming the thing that really pulled me.
Yeah.
But I'd been looking forward to the time that these two worlds of mine would come together. And the goddess aspect actually didn't come easy to me
Mm.
so I was dating somebody who was the first real good guy I dated ever. I had
Oh,
come
wow.
out of a long string of bad boys,
Mm.
and we could say kind of on the unhealthier side of the tracks, so to speak. And
Right.
suddenly I find myself in this relationship with this good guy, and it was kind of like, I'm going to eat my broccoli. I'm going to be a good girl, and I'm going to date a good guy, and no more of all that stuff. And he was good to me. And it was hard to be in that relationship because I hungered for what I was familiar with, which was
The drama.
the drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not being treated so well. And I was familiar with the pain, and I didn't like the pain, but it was the water I knew how to swim in. And I didn't really know how to be in a space with somebody that just was super respectful, super loving. And he would call me a goddess. And back
Oh,
then, it would make me cringe.
oh
And I
gosh.
would tell him, like, don't call me that. I'm not that. I thought a goddess is a perfect woman, is a perfect being, is kind of an angelic being. And I thought of myself at that time as kind of like a tomboy meets like kind of a street urchiny tough girl, kind of, because I felt like I'd been through so much. And
You hadn't met you yet.
he hadn't. Well,
You hadn't met you
I
yet.
hadn't, but he kept
Yeah.
saying it. And at
Wow.
some point after we broke up, actually, it was our breakup that brought me to such a dark night of the soul, because I thought, I'm destined to just be with mean, men. Those are the only ones I'm attracted to.
Oh,
And I went to see Nirvana, who was my practitioner at the time, spiritual counselor. And I was just a wreck. And he said, that's it. Close your eyes. It's time for you to meet your goddess queen.
mm,
And there was something about that place in me that was so raw at the time. I didn't want to be on the planet. I didn't like myself. I had nothing to push up against. I was just wide open. So when he said goddess queen, I was like, okay. He could have said alien. He could have said frog. Whatever he
right.
said, I would have said okay to. It just happened to be goddess queen.
What a relief.
And I went on this, a relief,
Yeah.
but I also saw like this parallel life of mine that was me being this higher version of myself. It's like I saw from birth to
Oh,
death how I could be if I stepped it up. And then as the counterpoint, I saw who I would be if I continued on the path
if
I
you
was on.
didn't. Wow.
And that was a cautionary tale right
And
there. Let me
wow.
tell you. Yeah. So that was the beginning of me accepting this. And then I started writing the insights that were coming to me as a result of
Mhm.
this session. And that ended up becoming that first book, Discover Your Inner Goddess Queen, as you know. And that's around the time that I met you.
Yeah, it is. And what I love about that is you sort of brought the goddesses to life for me. It's not that I'd never heard of Greek mythology and all of that, but you brought them to me to the
Hmm.
point where now it's a shorthand for us when we talk, where we just, I'm in Athena mode. Let's get down to business. What do we got to talk about? Nobody gets personally offended by that.
Right.
And we do that. And it's been really helpful for me in terms of communicating with a lot of people. When I say I'm embracing my Hestia because I'm just at home and that is it and I don't want to go
Right.
anywhere. I love it. So I thank you for that. I do. So
Oh,
so you wrote these and who did the artwork for them?
Rasuli.
Aw.
He's done the artwork for my previous two decks. And I thought I had, he's done a lot of different work, but I thought I had taken most of the goddess imagery for the previous decks, but there
Yeah.
was one that I hadn't picked that I somehow skipped over. I'm like, could we use her for the cover of this one? And
Yeah.
so it works. So yeah,
So pretty. I
charm. Isn't
love
it gorgeous?
Rasuli's art. Should I read the card that I pulled right now, you think?
Yeah, let's
Let's
do it.
read it.
Let's do it.
Okay. I just love this. Like I said, it's the perfect size. Okay, this is. And it's not, and I like when they're longer too, but I think at this time in the world, aren't we all looking for just that like bite-sized morsel of something we can hold on to and feel better about just because
Yeah.
things are crazy right now. So
Yeah.
I chose Morgan Le Fay, and it's
Mm.
the goddess of mysticism. It says it's time to own that you are a mystical being, no longer at the whim of anything or anyone. Call forth the potency of the sea, moon, and fairies to assist you in harnessing your oceanic ability to reign as the benevolent queen of your realm.
Ah, ah. Yeah, actually, Morgane Le Fay is the
Morgane Le
first, I
Fay.
think she might be the first goddess I ever met on my journey. And mostly I
Wow.
focus I'm mostly knowledgeable about the Greek goddesses,
Right.
but Morgane Le Fay, she's Celtic. And I met her through the book, The Mists of Avalon. And oh, I get the chills. And actually, Gypsy, our mutual friend, wrote a
Yeah.
song about her. And I'm wearing a jacket that Gypsy gave me. So I'm in this necklace. So Gypsy's here. Gypsy loves Morgane.
Oh my
She was the
gosh.
queen of the fairies. And it's just this and there's the Mists of Avalon, the movie and the book. It's all about the rise of Morgane. And I just feel such a wonderful connection to her. So I'm so happy that you chose her. And I
That's
love that
awesome.
she's the queen of the fairy realm.
I love that she's saying, hey, you're coming into it now. Forget about whatever was going on before. I feel like that was for me and it's for you. That's the thing about these cards. You pull it, it's for whoever's around. It
Right.
really, it always ends up being a message for everyone. I know that you're doing a virtual launch party for these cards, and this is going to be on Thursday, right?
Yes,
Tell us
April
everything.
9th.
Yeah, everything that you're going to, because you're offering all kinds of goodies. And I know I've had some of these goodies before, so I know how great they are. Tell
Thank
us.
you.
Yeah.
Well, I always like to do something special when I have a book or oracle deck that comes out. And, I want to give things away and make it fun. And so it's like the easiest way to do it is if you buy a box of the oracle cards, the empowerment cards, these are called the Dream Goddess Empowerment cards. If you buy a box, then you come to my webpage, which is dreamgoddess.us, and you put in your name, email address, and your order number from Amazon. So ideally, you'd go to Amazon. You could buy it at Barnes and Noble or wherever else you want to buy it online, but ideally, Amazon.
And I'm
And
showing you perspective. I have small hands, so you see what these are, size they are.
very
You
cute,
could just put them in
bite
your purse
size.
if you need to.
It's like a box of chocolate. So you buy them and then you take the order number and you put it in online, and then you will receive these interviews that I've been doing with modern goddesses. I've got Ariel Ford, who is kind of holding down the Hera archetype. She's the
Oh,
wife. She's
yeah,
written
yeah.
a book called a humongously successful book called The Soulmate Secret. And
Mm.
it's all about how to be a great partner. And then I interviewed Alana Pratt, who and
Yes.
and you actually as well are like a modern day Aphrodite. So I'm going to ask you a couple Aphrodite questions. The way
Okay.
Alana is like rocking
Yes.
her inner Aphrodite to,
Yes.
a big degree.
Another,
And
yeah.
actually, Nancy, I just want to acknowledge you because I think it's one of the most courageous goddesses to be rocking right now. Aphrodite. I think a lot of women are afraid of her, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I've got actually, it seems like all the goddesses that I picked, I expected them to all like be in agreement with me about how I saw them. Most of them all see themselves as Aphrodite. I'm like, wait a minute, you're Athena. Everybody wants to be Aphrodite.
Oh, that's funny.
It's funny, but Betsy
Wow.
Chassie, I just
Yeah.
interviewed her, and she is definitely the mother, which is Demeter,
Yeah.
and Athena.
Mm.
Primarily, let's say I'd see most people in the business world and know her as the person who put What the Bleep on the market. She was the
Right.
co-director, co-producer, and started a whole genre of films. And so she is a powerhouse, and she is an amazing mom to two young children. And
Yeah.
so she kind of talks about that balance and how she does that in a very unconventional way. And then I've got
Right.
Aspen Mattis,
Oh,
who's a New
yeah.
York Times bestselling author of Girl in the Woods and the upcoming Your Blue Is Not My Blue. And she really epitomizes Persephone
Persephone. Yeah. 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 I was
and
thinking the same.
Artemis
I'm
and
sure.
Artemis.
Yes. Oh, for
Yeah,
sure. Girl
she
in the woods. Yeah.
Yep, because
Mm-hmm.
she was raped and she went
Oh,
down into Hades, and then
what
she
happened?
found her reclaimed her body by going out on the Pacific Crest Trail and walking from Mexico to Canada. And that took a lot of Artemis to do. And then she's come into her Athena. So there's a lot of so basic, and there's
Right.
surprisingly Kali gets brought up a lot. A lot of these women
Oh, yeah.
know how to positively channel their anger and their not so pretty emotions in
Yeah.
a positive life affirming place, in a life affirming way. So I thought that was an interesting common denominator among these very different women. So I think that'll be interesting for people to find out.
I mean, that's a great goddess just for all of us to explore as ladies because, and not to say this is only for ladies, but if you're a woman, today it's so difficult. I think we walk this fine line. We want to be powerful. Sometimes we're seen as, the B word or
Right.
and it's instead of
Right.
a man could do this very same thing and they would be
Yeah.
seen differently. And so if we can channel her, that goddess, then we bring forth that power that is not off the charts and emotional and unkempt, but just I love the
Right.
feel of it. I love the feel of it and the idea of it.
Right.
We need that with today's women, and really
Right.
begin
And
to get us at the helm of things now even.
exactly.
The world.
But and an interesting thing about the timing of this, here's the COVID-19
Mhm.
coronavirus epidemic. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to do anything with this. Let's just let it go underground. And I started to do the interviews just to save for a later day. And I thought, oh
Yeah.
my God, this is so good. I think people need this now. Because
Yes.
I ask these women how they're coping right now with something that they've never coped with in their life. How are you
Who
bringing your
has?
goddess self to captivity, to being sick, or having loved ones that are sick, or just having this global pandemic
Yeah.
outside your door? It's one thing to be the goddess on the mountaintop when all is peachy keen and going fabulously, but in the midst of a pandemic, how are you doing it?
Right.
And so to me, it feels like maybe the timing is absolutely perfect to talk about this. And speaking of that, you, in my world, you really, I mean, you have all the goddesses, and I want to talk about what it means to have all the goddesses versus
Yeah.
being like a solo. So let's remember that. But I want to just speak to the fact that you have all of them, but the one
Mhm.
that you really rock, at least where most people would recognize, is Aphrodite. So,
Yeah.
and you do it in such a beautiful way. So what is Aphrodite to you?
Mm. She feels like, and I know a lot of people see her as indulgent, but she feels like indulgent in a way that to me translates as self-love. And not enough of us do that. And
Right.
so if we take that bubble bath and it calms us down and brings us peace, are we not offering a better self to the world? And if we do our nails and maybe do our hair and look a little pretty and we feel good about ourselves and we therefore are smiling more, is that not better? So I think a lot of the things that people, they get caught up on what it means to be Aphrodite, and it's not just about let me have some chocolates and Pierre, won't you feed them to me? It's more than that, although we like Pierre feeding us chocolates. um
And I do. Right.
it's more than that. It's loving yourself and feeling beautiful, which I think inside, it goes to the inside. If you feel good about the outside, sometimes it leaks right through, it just absorbs in, and you still feel good all the way around.
Yeah. It's such a interesting thing. So I didn't think I was going to share this. This is a little personal, but I had
Go
a
for it.
very strange dream last night, and I've had this recurring every so often. But there was a man in my dream that was in love with me, a man that I didn't know. And I
Right.
was like, oh, and literally I could feel Aphrodite come out of me in the face of being adored. And I literally have
Hmm.
had like a spring in my step all day. Not that Dana is wonderful
Right.
and he tells
Oh
me he
yeah.
loves me all the time. And that is, I am so lucky and so grateful. And it totally lifts my spirits. But when you're a married woman, you're kind of off the market to
Hmm.
other people. So people are respectful. So you don't
Right.
get that much flirty. But in
Right.
my dreams, it's like all fun and games. Nobody gets hurt. So I got a little of that attention in my dream.
And you
That doesn't
loved it.
sound totally pathetic, but it was interesting how I could feel this different part of me wake up that has
Right.
been kinder, sweeter, more loving, more gentle because of that. So that was
Yeah.
just an interesting little note to self. It's, I mean, I think there's ways to artificially bring in Aphrodite if there
Yeah.
isn't something naturally triggering her, like the bubble bath. That's probably the one of the best go-to ways to activate
To bring her back.
Aphrodite.
Yeah.
But it's good to
Right.
notice. But for me, it's good to know if there's a woman who's watching this who's like, I don't have anybody that's like bringing out my inner Aphrodite. You've got your
Right.
dreams.
We
There's
do.
stuff that happens in our dreams that is just as real as anything happening on this plane that we can allow. Like just talking about it, I feel a little like, whoo, like,
Things are heating
uh,
up.
I need a moment.
I know, right?
But it's like, but but
And then
there,
you fume.
et puis je
Je
fume.
fume. It's Right. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
I've been lately watching, this is very Aphrodite. I watch all of these shows, and they have these shows called Love Island. And Love Island, it's in Australia and in England, and it's basically these people come together and they're all trying to hook up and find love, but they
Mm.
don't know each other from Adam, and they're all gorgeous. And somebody did, it was a guy, it was, they got to the point where he wanted to ask her to officially be his girlfriend, like outside in the world, be on Love Island. And he did this thing where he made a crown for her, and he
Mm.
had all of these people do like riddles and go through rhymes and all of this and take her through stairs, stages, and come up to what was the castle, and he was all adorned, and he asked her, and I said through tears, then this is
Oh,
so Aphrodite, I miss grand gestures. Literally out loud. I miss grand gestures. I
grand
because
gestures.
that's what I
That's a
like.
song, Nancy. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a song. I
That
miss
is,
grand gestures. It goes along with Mary Chapin Carpenter's Passionate Kisses. Do you know
yeah.
that song?
I don't know it, but it does sound like it goes with it.
It does. Oh my God. Okay. These are Aphrodite
Yeah.
things.
Just for me
Grand
to watch that and say, you know what? I remember, because I've had plenty in my day. I had one guy give me a letter, 3 separate occasions of 100 things he loved about me. And they were all 300 different things, literally. So, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I like grand gestures,
I like
and
grand gestures too.
an Aphrodite drinks that right up.
I know. I can think of one grand gesture on a birthday. I was blindfolded and taken up in a helicopter and
Oh,
flown over the city. And that was like, I don't know, there was
still
something really,
blindfolded while you're in the helicopter?
no, they took them off once we were like in midair. And
Oh,
it was like, what? That was great. It didn't work out with that guy.
yeah.
He
It's
was
like,
one of the
take
guys
the
that was
blind,
like
yeah,
not so
take the
great,
blindfold off,
but I
mister.
liked the grand gesture. I really liked it. That's,
Yeah.
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 Oh, I
I
think
like talking about Aphrodite because lately I've been with the babies, my grandbabies, so much
you've
that I'm
been
feeling
in
more
Demeter.
Demeter. I've been super
Yes.
duper Demeter. That's really what I've been more than anything. And I miss it,
I think talking about her
It's,
activates her.
it does.
And
Yeah.
I think that there's something, I think she's kind of needed. I think she's really needed because
Yeah.
without, like, if we
Yeah.
just subtracted Aphrodite from the equation,
Mm,
life would be
mm,
pretty crispy and
yeah.
pretty black and white
Yeah. A
and
lot dimmer.
a lot dimmer, a
Yeah.
lot more perfunctory. Isn't that like a horrible word?
Yeah. It's perfunky.
But add Aphrodite, and it's like all
Mhm.
of a sudden everything becomes technicolor. And I think you're right. There's like the surface level of her that can just seem like all about the baubles.
Yeah.
But then there's the deeper level that is very soulful and what she brings. I mean, even just talking about her now, I feel there's sparkles in the air.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nancy T.
Yeah.
Thanks
Well, thank
for
you.
having this conversation with me.
I know. I'm so glad. And I'm excited about having these Dream Goddess Empowerment deck, this whole deck. Let's show them again, everybody. You can get them on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And please write a review for Kelly, because it's good for people that's how they all find out. That's how other people find out. It's really important if you do that. And they're good. They are good. And you pick one every day. You could pick one morning, noon, and night. There are no rules.
Yeah. And I
Forget
have to
rules,
give a
schrules.
shout out to Blue Angel, my publisher, who is just
Yeah.
so wonderful. And I just love working with this publisher. They do such beautiful work, and it's just such an honor to be in the family with them. It's
Me
so
too.
shout out to Blue Angel. Woo, woo.
Yeah. And I know
Mm-hmm.
you've got more things coming up in the future, so people stay tuned to what
Yeah.
Kelly's got going on. I won't tell them anything you wouldn't want to be told, but she
Right.
doesn't stop here at one deck of, there's a lot of stuff in her
There's a few
pipeline.
more things up my sleeve, and
Yeah.
I hope that people will sign up on April
Yeah.
9th, and even I might extend it, who knows, but for sure April 9th is when all the goodies are available, and they're all free with just a purchase of one deck of oracle cards of the Dream Goddess Empowerment deck.
And give us
And
the website again.
dreamgoddess.us. So it's like
Us.
dot us, because
Yeah.
we're all them.
We're
And
all
you get
goddesses.
this series, this summit of interviews that I've done with these modern archetype women.
Oh,
And then if you leave a review on Amazon, once you've got your deck, then I give you the course so that you can learn more in depth about what each of the 8 goddess archetypes in the Greek pantheon are all about, and how to bring her into your modern life, and how you take the one that is your shadow. Got to find out
yes.
what your shadow is and
Right.
bring even a little drop of her into your life. And that makes a big old difference right
And
now.
yes, and I've taken this course, and so I cannot recommend it enough. It was such a powerful experience to live through all of these goddesses and just keep doing it, doing it, doing it till you go, wait a minute, I have more of that one than I thought, and not enough of that one. And let's sprinkle some more. And it's nice. You were going to mention real quickly, like if a person embodies all of the
Oh,
goddesses, what were you going to say
right.
about that
Right. Well,
before you go?
I think on an idea, I mean, from a dream perspective and from a metaphysical perspective, everyone is in us. We're
Yeah,
every woman, every goddess, it's all in us,
yeah,
even if it's just a drop, even if it's just a sprinkle. So we naturally are holographic creatures. And yet we tend to favor one archetype over the rest. So we tend to have one or two or three, but let's just say for sure one that tends to be our go-to every day. Lately and for a while, Athena has been mine. And then I've got Artemis. I go jogging every day. And then I've got Persephone, because I write about the stuff that happens on the dark side of things. And I've got Hera. I'm the
you've got
wife of
Aphrodite
the,
too.
I have Aphrodite too. Aphrodite kind of weaves her way
She
through.
does.
And I've got a little Hestia, because I've become a lot more introverted. Anyway, we've got, oh, and art. And I don't know, I think I mentioned all of them. Hopefully I did. Demeter? Oh no, Demeter, I left her out. I kind of lean on her with my dogs
Yeah.
and with my girlfriends and with my clients.
Yes,
That's
no,
where my
you're really
nurturing
good
goes.
about that. You're a very nurturing spirit, regardless.
But
Yeah.
there are some, here's the kind of the cautionary aspect. If you tend to be one and it's kind of just full on
And that's it.
and that's it, there are pitfalls to that. There's
Sure.
pitfalls to being all Aphrodite or
Mm,
all Athena all the
yeah.
time. And I assert that our well being, our balance, our sustainability, our vitality is based on us having at least a little bit of each goddess in each day, even if it's just a little drop, even if it's like 5 minutes of Aphrodite where you dance, or where you take a shower, like a hot shower with bubble bath, even better, or stop and smell the roses, or 5 minutes of a walk to activate Artemis, or get barefoot, and whatever it is, even if it's 5 minutes. But it's good to have a little inventory of all the goddesses and make sure that you've brought them in. And I focus on the Greeks because I think within them all the others exist. But
Yeah.
of course, I would say pull a card out of the Dream Goddess deck and activate that goddess in your day, and trust the goddesses to let you know which one you need. And sometimes people pick the same one over and over and over.
Um,
I keep
that's
doing
a
that.
message, isn't it?
That's a message. So just
That's a
focus on
message.
that. But that's kind
Yeah.
of might be a less, you don't have to be so intellectual about doing the math. Ooh.
No.
Uh, ooh. So
Gosh, no,
just pick a
we try not
card,
to.
maybe like a, but pick a card and let that be the goddess that you activate in the day. That's my suggestion.
Aw,
That's
thanks
all
for
I got.
being with me, Kel. I'm so glad you told me all about this because now we can tell everybody about it
Thank you, honey.
together.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being such a goddess in my life, and
Oh,
somebody who being Aphrodite, I didn't expect you to be as Artemis as it turns out you are, who has
yeah.
come with me to Guatemala, building houses in slums and
Yeah.
walking up volcanoes and
Yeah.
doing all manner of things. Like you're a wonder, you're a blessing, and I'm so grateful
Oh,
to have the Demeter nurturing aspect of you as my friend. And you're just wonderful, and I love you and
I
appreciate
love you.
you, and your multi-talented actress self that you are as well. Holy Lord.
Holy Lord.
Holy Lord.
Wait, this is supposed to be about you. What are we talking about?
Oh, stop. It's us. It's a dot us. Dream goddess dot us.
Not us, everybody. So make sure you get your cards one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Look at that.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Sweet dreams. Amen. A woman. Our dreams. Our goddess.